This is a stock I like at the moment. I think a lot of people are talking about it on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Um, I think it was like 8 or 9 red days in a row, which is something
Mm.
crazy. It hasn't happened for many, many years. So that's obviously a point of interest. I've drawn a line here actually through the kind of chart. It's not the most perfect line, of course. You've got a bit of a breach down here, which is why I actually added this line as well, which didn't end up so well. As you can see on the screen, straight through that. I'm basically waiting for a bit of support around Amazon. Anywhere will do. Just need a couple of good days and then perhaps maybe set a path, back to kind of 200 wise. But yeah, that comment earlier about Jeff Bezos selling on a ton at 200 really did affect the stock, and probably the kind of mindset of investors as well to maybe just drop some. What are your thoughts around Amazon at the moment?
Yeah, I think you can see the general trend that is shifting from the Max 7. Most of these stocks, and if you actually draw a long trend line for Amazon, Amazon has been on the run for, I would say, the gap up that happened was all the way back in February. So since February, Amazon has been running up. And on the RSI, it has remained at the top level for a good chunk of 2 months. And then we saw a little bit of decline in that range. But pretty much, I would say, let's just wait and see how the earnings play out. We could see this could be just a blip, that because we have seen this blip a couple times in this trend channel, and we could just continue to see that going back up. If not, then we will see the 200-day moving average slowly inching back up. But there is a gap. There is a gap up that happened back from, I think, let me
End of
see, end
January.
of Jan, right?
Yeah.
So that was trading at 159, and then we had that gap up all the way to 171. So that's a long term gap. I mean, unless something really big breaks, I don't see Amazon going down to those levels anytime soon.
No, I do agree. And obviously, you've got earnings around the corner. That's what this vertical line is here on the 1st of August, which is a Thursday. So next Thursday. So that'll be definitely one to watch. Amazon Prime Day, I think, happened midweek as well.
$14 billion. Yeah,
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 well, that's not bad.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's I'd definitely
That's the
take
big,
that.
yeah, that's the biggest Prime Day they did. So I think from a fundamental standpoint, Amazon continues to improve. Once they report earnings, we'll get to know how the AWS is performing compared to the peers, Azure and Google Cloud. So there's a lot more focus on those. All right,
Awesome.
let's
What are we
move
up
to
to
the next
next?
one. We have EL Lauder.
Cool.
Ooh, wow.
So these are all daily charts, by the way, at the moment. Unless I change it, I'll let you all know in the comments or in the audience, should I say? And this one's been beaten up quite a bit, hasn't it, Kay? I mean, it doesn't look good.
Oh, it looks bad.
The turn of the year is the vertical line, so that's the beginning of the year, and it's just basically come up to kind of 200 move average actually, and kind of just basically rejected off that 4 times actually. Yeah, so it's not looking good. Probably looking for a base. Might have to jump out to the weekly to find that, depending if it's been down at these levels before. So I'm assuming it has. Uh,
I mean, weekly it doesn't look any better either. Like,
no,
it's only.
I mean you've got a bit of a resistance here way back in 2016, but that's I always find a bit, the older the trend line or the older the support slash resistance, I think it gets a bit weaker, in my opinion. But if people think that's a resistance way back in the past, then perhaps now is a support line. But it's hard. You have to wait for that kind of. So I'll zoom in a bit. You have to kind of wait for that buy trigger in effect to kind of come through. In which case you need higher lows kind of setting, and then you kind of get into it. Moving averages perhaps been broken. At the moment, you're just kind of buying a stock that you just kind of throw money into a pit. Would you agree there?
I agree with that. And then also the earnings are coming up mid August, 8/19. You
Yeah.
have 22 down revisions on that as well. So that's that. And with the CFO exiting, I think the next earnings call is going to be a little bit more dicey. So if you are going, I mean, I don't know, I have never traded EL before, but if you're investing it, I think watch for the earnings and see how that plays out.
Yeah. Awesome. What are we
Okay.
on to next?
Next is Open. Wasn't this the
Open
Chamath's
door.
SPAC that he brought up? I
I
think
think
so.
so. Yeah. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a real estate company, isn't it?
yeah, I think so.
it's had a pretty good last couple of weeks, despite obviously the last 3 or 4 days. But um, bit of a run from wow, it's actually $1.70. I swear it's a lot higher than that at one point.
It was if we go,
Wow. Here
yeah,
we go. This is
we were at $35 almost, 34.59 all time high.
whew. You can see actually on the monthly a bit of a wedge kind of formed already. So we'll draw that. Oh, what have I done? Bear with me here. Yeah, a bit of a wedge. So you can see a bit of rejection actually the week just gone. So that's probably why it might have temporarily rejected that. So we can draw another line there. We all just love drawing lines. Here we go. Right. Into the weekly now. This is the weekly. You can see a big rejection now of the weekly, even the 50 minute averages there. So I think probably actually letting this wedge play out would be the first thing that I look for, at least, obviously in my opinion. I think I'll probably add this to my long term watch list, kind of general watch list, but nothing in my kind of shorter term, unless obviously, in case this breaks, of course. What are your thoughts there on the technical
I
side?
think I agree with your assessment here. I'll wait for the breakout to happen on the wedge, and but the only issue that I'm seeing is that on the fib level, if I draw the fib level, and if actually there is a lot more volume here at these levels of 320 and all the way from 280 to 320, so that is going to break the wedge.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
but
320 is here ish.
but then you do have resistance at the 460 level.
These are
Because
big numbers as well, aren't they? So if you've got 240, even from 240 up to 320, that's
it's a
like
big run up.
30% or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one to play around with. Yeah. I've added to my watch list for sure. What have
Okay.
we got next?
Next one, I think, is FLNC. Isn't that what you like? No,
I've
that's
never heard of it actually. FLNC.
it's
What is
energy
energy?
stock.
Oh, it's fairly new on the market. Inception is here, back in November last year. Oh no,
Interesting.
hang on, that's weekly chart.
It's a lot of interesting tickers that we are getting from the audience. So thank you. Keep it coming along. Let's see.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's below the 200 moving average, so it's not
I
looking
mean,
like
there's
it's
no
going to be
200
a
average,
bullish pattern.
honestly. Like, it's not even been here 200. Like, it's not even forming that well enough. 200. There's not much data yet on this.
No, there's nothing obvious on the chart, at least just now. You want it to kind of get above the 200 moving average, like it briefly did here, but you want it to kind of act as support a few times, like it has resistance back here. So you want to act it as support rather than resistance, of course, unless you're playing a short. If I saw this on a 5 minute chart, I'd perhaps look at a short on this one, and then obviously playing it down to the support level down here, 1343, which percentage wise is not, it's nothing dramatic. What we're looking at there, 16%, actually not too bad. So yeah, that'd be a potential short there, back down to the support, and obviously, you could take a profit here and then maybe leave some on the table if it was to break even further down, and obviously then you have to go back to look at another support line. But yeah, there's potential for a short, but definitely I don't think one for a buy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with this one. Next up is IONQ.
What's this one do? Again, a bit of another negative trend. Nothing's really going up so far on the suggestions.
It's a quantum computing systems in the US. It sells access to quantum computers of various qubit capacity.
Yeah, not the most solid trend line. I mean, it's not where I would normally start drawing a trend line. Obviously, you normally draw a trend line from the most recent peak, in which case it would be around about here-ish, I guess. Um, it looks like it's kind of broken out of that trend, perhaps, and maybe come down for a retest, which you can't see because our faces are in the way.
Mhm.
Yeah, again, it's a tricky one to kind of play, isn't it? But you
I
want to see a bit of buying around this 20 moving average, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that 20-day moving average seems like a resistance. It rejected two times in the last two trading days. There is a lot of volume shelf though above that. So if you're drawing a fib level, right, there is a nice range of I would say 989 all the way going to 1216. That's a good range, but seems like 20-day moving average seems like a resistance for now at least.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of comments. Real stocks have been doing pretty well recently. Yes, they have actually. I mean, realty income is one of those that I saw the other day, kind of, boosted back up to kind of 60, I think ish. So that's interesting to see. Thank you very much, Hussein. Um, Again, Hussein as well. Are we able to do Bitcoin mining stocks, Hive blockchain? I'm sure we can bring that up. I've brought up Hive blockchain a few times on the trading triangle in the past. I do like Hive. It moves pretty quickly, pretty violent, at least in my experience.
Okay, that we can have. I've added that on the list. So let's continue. Next up is AMD. Oh, love this one.
Oh, don't talk to me about AMD.
Did you
Once
burn your hands
again,
with
I
AMD
mean,
or?
yeah, I had a trade. It's now gone. So I can just delete that. So
Oh,
you can see my thesis. Obviously, I entered here. I wanted to kind of stay above here. It just gapped down because of the semi news and obviously Nvidia, all those kind of things. But it is actually a key point of support. So it could actually open up another trade potentially. Obviously, we'll see what happens in the next few days around the market, etc. But 200 moving average. This is what you like, Kay. Are you looking
yeah.
intensely at AMD?
Exactly. So I do have AMD for my long-term position. I am in a trade for AMD as well. But just like we saw, most of the chips were down because of geopolitical news, and of course, chips have been running along for a long time now. So I think it's good to see some kind of a sell-off so that they can cool off a little bit. But again, if you are an investor, these are the levels that you should definitely be aiming to add more to your position. And I think from a trading standpoint, I do want to see if we get a nice bounce for AMD at the 200 level, or do we see further declines? And if we do further see declines, I will probably add more. They also report earnings next week, so it's going to be very interesting. Um, I think a lot of eyes will be there on AMD on how they are going to be in the GPU market, and are they going to be even a competitor or not? So I'll definitely keep an eye on AMD for more trades.
Yeah, and that's just around the corner next Tuesday. That's not
Next
this
Tuesday,
Tuesday, but the
exactly.
one after. Yeah,
Yep. All right. Next up is another good one, Square, that we often discuss here.
yeah.
And yes, I don't like this on the daily. This big red candle that we saw. That was a massive
Really.
sell-off. Yeah. And
So I
then
kind of
now
like that,
you like it. Okay, tell us why you like it.
just because it's coming down to all three moving averages here that are kind of converging into one. So to me, that's a pretty nice support. Now, if we had a good enough support resistance level, which we kind of do around this kind of level here, so I've kind of just taken over. I'll let you. So
Okay.
we've got a bit of support, a couple of resistance points, a little bit around here. So you've got that 66, let's say 66.50 as a decent enough support, and you could probably keep a fairly tight stop loss around 64ish, because then you could combine it with the trend line with all the kind of general slow moving up. So you're, what did I say, 64 stop loss there ish. So it's a potential trade. Not too sure if I take it with the current market conditions, but I mean the red candle. You say you don't really like it, but I kind of like it. That's the kind of way we go with different perspectives on this on the trade triangle. So
Yeah,
yeah,
because the
why
perspective
don't you like it?
changes if depends on what kind of a trader are you, right? So Sean is a breakout trader. He does day trading. I do options trading. So our levels are different. We look at the stock in a different way. If you're selling options and trading, then you don't like stocks with a massive gap ups or gap downs. Whereas on a day trading, you can actually take a lot more profits, or you can actually make multiple trades on these. Um, I like the level honestly on this one around the 60. I would say 65 is what my level is on Square, and we had a massive run. So most of my puts that I sold were expired, worthless. So I'm actually now waiting for it to come to that level before initiating another trade. If not, I want to see how it plays out in forming a range here.
Awesome.
Cool.
Love the
So
different perspectives we have on here.
okay, so I'm gonna skip couple of stocks and then we'll come back to them. So let's do Palantir because I know you have a good understanding on Palantir, and then we'll come to some of
Yeah,
the smaller ones.
well, I looked at this on Friday, and I just don't like these last two candles. Lots of sellers coming in around this kind of almost $30 level. which is exciting for Palantir considering where it was a couple of years ago. All the way back here, just kind of early teens, I think it was, not so long ago. But yeah, really good performance. The important thing is we're above this kind of 2750 line. Perhaps it's coming down for a bit of a retest before we move higher, but we do have earnings as well on
Yeah,
Monday, the 5th
8.5.
of August. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is the vertical line you see on the screen. Um, yeah, I mean, these two candles don't fill me with joy, but what I want to see is a retest and a bounce off of this level here. I think it's a potential trade opportunity as well. If you kind of, me, I like a breakout trade, and that's exactly what that is. I'll draw it out on the arrows here. So obviously coming back down, bouncing off here, making a move higher. You'd have to go back into the chart a couple of years to find another resistance level, but I'll let you guys do all of that kind of research. It's important to do your own research with these stocks. Just don't take our word for it, of course, because we're not financial advisors.
Mm.
But yeah, obviously we've got the 20 moving average as well coming up nicely. So if it was to kind of move sideways for a few days, it gives a bit more time for the 20 moving average to come up as well, which provides us a bit of confidence for our trading, which I think is very interesting. Very important for kind of traders to get that kind of confluence, the kind of extra edge, I suppose, on a trade. I'm going to stop waffling now. Have you got any thoughts on Palantir before we move on?
No, I think 29 is a interesting level because we did see this double top back in 2021 on Palantir, and then we saw that massive decline. We are coming around the same level again, so I really want to see. Hopefully, it's not a big decline. There is a gap fill that I'm actually looking for. That is between the 18 and the 1964. We talked about this one, I think, couple weeks back, for a long-term position ad, not for trading, but for a long-term position ad. But as of right now, I think just wait and watch on how this plays out.
So that's a big gap, isn't it? You're talking about this one here.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
that
that's a
would
big
be
gap.
long term where I would want to add to the position, but again, not for trading perspective, more for investing.
Yeah, no, of course. I think we'd have to see possibly a negative earnings report for that to kind of drop down that much,
Yeah,
or a bad news article or something like that. But at the moment, I think a lot of news that are regarding Palantir is going up pretty positive. Consistently signing new deals, consistently getting new price target increases, and the moves that it's making as well. It's a bit more consistent. Obviously, I know we've got a bit of a jump here, but generally, it's kind of moving slower, which you know it's nice. It's good to see.
all right.
Consistent moving. Right, let's move on.
Next move to ARM, ARM. It's another chip designer. So this one, if you don't want, I can quickly give you my opinion on this one.
Yep.
So on the fib level, I think the what level I want to watch is at the current level we have the biggest volume shelf. So this is definitely a very very good support level for ARM, at least in the last, I would say, month and a half. So a lot of trading happened at these levels. The level to watch out would be the 149.35, because if we break that, we do not have a good volume shelf all the way until probably 125 or so. That's when it starts to build up again. um Let me see, when is ARM reporting earnings? Should be,
I've got it here already. It's the 31st of
yeah,
July.
next week as well. So another stock to watch out for, especially the earnings. Thoughts?
Nothing really. I mean, you covered it quite nicely actually on ARM. That, like you say, kind of the level where we are now. Well, not now, but 149 ish.
Yep.
And like you say, the next big volume is around 120.25. So yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of reiterating what you were saying.
Okay, so next move on to FOUR4.
Thank you very much, by the way, for all of these suggestions. It opens us up to more kind of perspectives around different stocks, different industries. So it's always nice to kind of pick up these stocks, isn't it, Kay?
Yeah, and then a couple of comments from Ursa. I recommended AMD to my friend. It dropped from 185 to 150 WTF. I will not recommend again.
No.
I think we have all been in this kind of a situation many, many times. so it's nothing unusual. I think there should always be a disclaimer. Anytime you recommend something or anybody who gets a recommendation, nobody should be buying or trading stocks just because you heard from somebody. And same goes with us, right? You're asking for our analysis. We're just telling you what we think. Doesn't mean it's going to happen.
No,
Uh,
of course.
and then Avi says, "Love your analysis, guys." So really appreciate Avi. Can we see gold analysis? We can definitely look at couple gold ETFs, but let's go through the tickers that have been requested first, and then we'll see if we have enough time. We'll touch gold as well.
Awesome.
Go for it.
Yes, I mean, my immediate thoughts is see if we can kind of hold on to this 200 moving average. This is the daily chart. I don't even know what they do, to be honest with you. Must
It's
be
a payment. It's a payments. It's another fintech kind of a company.
okay, right. Yeah, so just holding on to this 200 moving average. If it doesn't, then perhaps there is a short in play. We're looking at this level of around 60, let's say 64, just as a round number. And if that breaks, we're looking obviously to next kind of major support around about 57. So there's a potential short there as well, and that's probably about 13% off the
Yeah,
top of
and the,
my head.
and Sean,
Not
the
bad.
last again, you see this big candle, the day I think Thursday trade. Well, that's a
Oh,
big
yeah.
candle. Yeah, it's a
It's always alarming when you see a big candle like that kind of wipe out 4 or 5 trading days before so. And likewise, in the other direction, if you have like a particular stock that's coming down for 4 or 5 days and you get a big green candle, then that's also quite bullish. That's quite exciting because obviously the buyers are coming in at a certain level to getting a bit more excited around the stock. So just be careful of those big candles that come in on
okay.
your charts.
All right.
Yeah,
Next one is NEM. It's Newmont Corporation. What do they do? Let's see.
this one's a bit more exciting, a bit more
This is
trend.
actually somebody. This covers. They do production and exploration of gold, copper, silver, zinc, and lead. So I think kind of it's a
It's like a
commodity
sympathy
stock.
play for gold.
Yeah,
There's a lot of gaps.
there's a lot of gaps. Exactly.
I guess if it's playing around the futures market, which obviously commodities tend to do, you are going to get a lot of gaps, aren't you? Because there's lots of movements in the out of hours
Yeah,
after.
and we don't cover commodity as much on this channel as I think we have covered energy a lot, but commodities we don't cover that much.
I'm
What are your
saying that there's actually only 2 gaps that I can see. I thought there was more than that. There's another one down here. Yeah, I mean it's a tricky one. I mean it's obviously following a trend. I mean I could probably get more excited if it came down to this level here to fill up this gap because you've got the 20 moving average there. You've got the line which is about $44, and obviously you've got the kind of trend line floating around there as well. So that's a bit of confluence kind of around those levels. But apart from that, not really looking. It's a bit of no man's land at the moment, basically. Is what I'm looking at. I would like to add this to my watch list. Actually, I might do that just now. So
and
thank
just
you for
just
whoever brought that up.
just to add to what Sean said, the range from 44 to 48.97, there is really not much volume going on there. Most of your volume is in this range of 41 to I would say maybe 44 or 43, something like that. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. All right. So we
Awesome.
covered. Next up is LLY. I think it's
Lily,
yeah another big stock.
Eli Lily. Wow, look at that red candle. Oh,
Oh, why did that happen? Did they report earnings? No, they report earnings
no,
on 8/8. So what happened?
that's a nasty candle. What's the RSI on that? Yeah, quite low. Back down to 35 RSI. Not as low as I'd like to see it for a buying opportunity, probably more towards kind of 20, 25 RSI is what I'd like to see.
This is the least shorted stock on S&P 500. The short interest is 0.67, less than a percent. Amazing.
If it was to continue going down further, then perhaps 794-ish would be a good level to kind of get interested, shall we say? Because we've got lots of resistance around here on the left side of the chart. Okay, one,
Exactly.
two, three, four, five, 5 points of resistance, and a little bit of a breakout retest. This is actually a good example of a breakout trade. Um, so obviously we've had lots of points of resistance. We've broken out. We've come back down and retested it, and it's just gone powered higher. Um, which is what I like to see in a trade. Not predominantly, but it's one of my strategies.
So if anybody who knows, who's watching, if they know why we had this massive drop down or the gap down on this stock, let us know in the comments, because I cannot find anything in the news that why we had such a massive drop on Thursday.
It said it got approval in China, but that sounds like good news. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good news. That shouldn't be a bad news. So I'm not sure why, but okay, let's keep moving. So next is GDX.
GDX.
I think that's gold, right?
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, it's a
Gold miners
ETF.
ETF.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Nice positive movement on this chart. No trend as such, because there's no. I mean, you could draw a line here, of course. Let's get that on the chart.
I mean, if you look a little bit long term, it still is it's an upward trend right now. Making higher highs.
Similar to that Newmont stock we just brought up, ticker symbol NEM.
Yeah.
So it's kind of moving in a similar sort of direction. I'd like it to pull back a little bit further, to maybe towards 36. That's what I can see here on the chart. Yeah, no, I think it's got all the confluence there. You've got the trend line, you've got the two moving averages, and this kind of resistance actually from back here as well. Kind of coming in line there. So 36 is one of those potentially good time to get in on kind of a long-term view, not so much a trading view, because obviously you can see the value of this stock is, if you were to kind of start a trade here and move up to here, it's only really about 10, 12%, something like that. So it's not the most exciting play. But people do like the kind of slower moving stocks. Do you like slower moving stocks, or are you more of a fast kind of action guy?
So it depends on the stock. I stick with mostly the large cap. I like the large cap trading style. And Ursa Capital asked a question: which stock you guys made the biggest profit on? So if the question is related to in the last month or so, I would say Tesla would be the biggest that I made profit on. Anything comes to your mind, Sean, in the last month?
I mean, even in the last month, obviously Tesla definitely, but even in like a broader sense of the term, with Tesla as well, obviously they've moved kind of massively in the last kind of 3 or 4 years generally. So yeah, Tesla would be my main breadwinner, shall we say?
I see.
Yeah,
We got some comments on regarding Lilly. So drop on Lilly was based on news of Roche releasing an oral GLP-1 to compete with Mounjaro. I'm not that familiar, but I understand what's going on. Okay. So thank you, Ryan, for that update. And similarly, there was a negative news on weight loss drug from another company. Okay. So I think that's the reason for that massive drop. I think a lot of different investors also invest in Lilly. So I think that would be probably they'll be salviating to add more to the position, even though the dividend yield is not that great.
So we've got 2,000 viewers. Have we got any more charts for the viewers here?
Yes, we actually have a lot more left. So let's cover a couple of let's try Mara and Hive, and then we will, depending on how much time is left, we can cover the remaining.
Yeah, I think we do 3 or 4 more and then call it a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which one are you, Mara? Okay, so beautiful.
Mara. Yeah.
So Mara was a big name that we used to cover, and Nate used to cover a lot Mara.
Yeah.
So I actually am in a trade for Mara, and I'm pretty much wrapping up with that trade because it's going to expire worthless next week. It has a nice run up since then. For me personally, my levels for Mara is around the $17 level, because that's where actually, sorry, I'll correct myself. It's around the 18-19 level, is because that's where majority of the volume shelf is, and it's in that range that I tend to open my options contract in. Now, from your perspective, Sean, I know you're a breakout trader. How does this chart look to you? Because I feel like we had a topping candle around the 2030, and then since then, a couple trading days, we have seen a little bit decline.
Yeah, I think with the breakout trading side of things, I mean, you've got a clear resistance here. It looks like we're kind of coming back down to that level, albeit gradually. But it's tricky because you've had that kind of breakout move already, so to speak. So let's zoom in a bit so you can see it a bit clearer. Obviously, we've broken this line and we've just absolutely gone for it. Probably Bitcoin helped that as well. But I would be interested if it was to get back to this kind of 2280 level. Be interested in the position. I'd like it to kind of travel sideways a little bit more just to bring up the moving averages to give me a bit of extra confidence. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's broken out here, but you can also break out on a second term as well. So that's, I'm looking for a bounce there, basically. Keep a fairly nice tight stop loss, maybe around 20, 21. If you're feeling a bit more riskier, you can probably bring it down below this trend line here, which has been obviously acting out since mid parts of April. Yeah, no, I like it if it gets back down to 22.80, which can happen in a few hours trading with this stock. As you can see, it's very volatile. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, next one is HE. It's Hawaiian Electric.
I thought we were going to have a look at Hive quickly.
Hive. Okay, all right,
Yeah,
let's do
we'll have a look at Hive because I can see Hussein is very interested in Hive. Yeah, I mean, again, similar sort of thing to Mara. It's a bit more consolidated actually than Mara. What I'd be looking for immediately here, obviously, we've got a bit of a trend line there, and we've got it kind of expanding more so here. So I'd be looking at it to kind of break out that zone. Oops. If we zoom out, probably see a bit of resistance. I've done a few annotations on this chart, as you can see.
it.
um, Not too sure why I did that. Probably just double bottom, get a bit excited, drawing some lines. And that's my next point of next target, really. So that is, what's that, 460, which from here is about 10%, slightly over. Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's kind of increasing, but if it blasts out of this channel, then fantastic. Any thoughts?
No, no thoughts on this one because I
No.
haven't trade Hive. I stick with Mara because that's the range I've identified on that one. But I agree with you, man. It's like you would want to wait for that trend break, but that resistance of 460 seems like it's a big resistance there.
We've got some breaking news, I think, if it's true, in the comments. Biden drops out.
That's definitely a breaking news, and I mean, it's been telegraphed for a while now that's going to happen this weekend. So finally, the news comes out. Let's jump.
Yeah,
We have 3 minutes. Let's try to cover at least two more. Let's cover HE Hawaiian Electric.
that news is true, by the way. Everyone's talking about it on X. This is probably what we're going to hear now for the next 5 or 6 hours. It's just constant Biden talk. But yeah, anyway. Sorry, what did you say?
H-
HE.
H-
I distracted myself, much like the viewers. I'm sure we'll hear lots of coverage on that this evening. HE, what is going on here? That is one hell
it's
of a jump
a
up.
it's a electric company, Hawaiian Electric, and unfortunately, it has a Wall Street has a sell rating on this one.
That's interesting, given its 35% move on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a big gap up right there.
It is. I
I,
think
I would not chase the stock if I was not already in the stock.
no. I think the only thing I'd be looking at here is this kind of $15 level, because you can see the resistance back on the left side of the chart here. September last year and turn of the year ish. If you can get down there, then maybe. But you'd probably have to learn about the stock or the company, learn about the company, figure out what they do, whether it's a good investment in the first place. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a swing trade potential, not so much a day trade potential, because you could get burnt on this if you day
This
trade
is
this.
yeah, I agree. And just looking at the how the stock has behaved, if you look at the monthly candle, you will not like that big long drop on the stock with one bar.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh wow. Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah, exactly. So this stock can burn you. It's definitely something to be very. If I would be doing this, I would scalp this. It would be
Yeah.
you know I'll be on watching the seconds and the minutes chart. Not this is too long of a.
One thing
Okay.
I would say is consistent volume increase since obviously that big red candle. The volume has been much higher generally rather than before that. So I guess the traders have been trading this one actively. That's for sure.
All right. So I think we have a minute left. We can probably cover one more. Let's cover WULF. It's Wolf. So it's Terra.
Terrible. Yeah.
And what did they do? Let's see.
Let's jump into the daily chart here.
They're a
See,
digital
so,
asset technology company, develops, owns, and operates Bitcoin mining facilities in New York and Pennsylvania. Oh, it's a local
oh,
company.
another miner.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's around kind of $5, so it's just over a penny stock in my book. Anything under a $5 mark is a penny stock. It's moving in the right direction. Again, similar to kind of most miners we've looked at today. So obviously Mara kind of got an upwards channel. Hive as well with an upwards channel. This one you can kind of visualize it already on the chart. It's just kind of this one is a good example of the trend is your friend. Would you agree there?
Yeah, I agree with this one. Trend is your friend, and also they have a strong buy rating from Wall Street.
Really,
Hmm.
it'd be interesting to dig into this company, um, perhaps a bit more. But from a from a technical point of view, I probably wouldn't enter this in terms of like a trade as such, unless it was to break this trend line, kind of in a negative fashion, maybe down towards the kind of 50 moving average. But if it's related to Bitcoin, then obviously you've got to kind of watch Bitcoin as well. It's one of those stocks.
Yeah, I think that's true with all the Bitcoin mining company as it
Yeah,
sounds. So yeah, Sean, I think that was we're pretty much a little bit over time from our show standpoint, but
yeah, it's been
uh,
fun.
first of all, I want to appreciate and say thank you to all the viewers who gave us a lot of ticker ideas. You know, it's always good to get all these different tickers. I Some of them I have put them on my watch list as well. So thank you so much, everybody. And there were a lot of comments from folks. So appreciate all the news and updates from you guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Sean,
and
anything else from your side before we wrap up?
yeah, big thank you to Wolf as well for letting us use the platform, expanding on the audience slightly there. Obviously, 2.6 viewers in today, which is fantastic. Keep them coming in. We're doing this every Sunday from 6 p.m. UK time, and I think that's 1 p.m. on the
East
Eastern
Coast.
Coast.
Yep.
I know it's a bit of a strange time for a Sunday, but you can always watch it in the pre-recording, post-recording even. But yeah, just be careful out there. Obviously, it's the start of the earnings season. Pretty much is all heating up this week. Just be careful, don't get too excited, trade safely, position wisely. Obviously, there's lots of volatility around these times. And obviously, we've got PCE and various news articles, so be careful of those this week as well. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good week. Obviously, you can follow both of us on X, Sean Trades for me and Invest K for K. I think it's going to be a fun week. Yeah,
Looking forward to it, and trade safely, guys. And we will see you next week, same time, same place.